So what if scaling your business wasn't this chaotic scramble of just trying to do more of everything? What if you could approach it like an architect? Someone who actually plans, designs, and builds a structure that's not just big, but strong. A structure that's truly built to last.
All right, let's just get right to it with a pretty tough question. So many entrepreneurs, maybe you're one of them, start a business because they want freedom. But then they look up a few years later and they're working more than ever, totally trapped by the thing they created. If that sounds even a little bit familiar, it means you've accidentally become your business's busiest employee, not its master architect.
Okay, so how do we get out of that prison? Well, we have a plan, a construction plan, and it's got three main phases. First, we're going to lay down the blueprint for growth. Then we'll build what I call the engine of attraction. And finally, we'll put together the framework for freedom.
All right, part one, the blueprint for growth. Look, you wouldn't build a house without a blueprint, right? So why would you build a business that way? This first step is all about getting super clear on who you're building this for and what materials you're going to build it with.
And the absolute cornerstone of your entire blueprints is this idea right here, the spend threshold. Now, this isn't just about what a customer is willing to pay. No, it's about what they are financially capable of paying for the amazing value you're providing. Seriously, if you design your whole business around customers with a low spend threshold, it's like trying to build a skyscraper on a foundation of sand. It's never going to work. It's destined to crumble.
And this is how you can spot the difference. The wrong customer, the one with the low spend threshold, they see you as a cost. They're always trying to minimize what they spend with you. They drain your energy, your time, your resources. But the right customer, they see you as an investment in their own success. They have the capacity to pay for real value, and when they do, they become the fuel for your growth.
And that fuel is your profit margin. But you have to stop thinking about margin as just making money. It's so much more than that. It is your primary building material. Think of it as the trinity of margin. First, you need enough margin to just sustain the business, keep the lights on. Then, you need enough to actually scale operations, to hire people, to get help. And finally, and this is the one most people forget, you need a surplus to handle the unexpected, to handle those market shifts that always come. Without those healthy margins, your whole structure is just incredibly fragile.
Okay, our blueprint is solid. We know who we're building for, so now it's time for part two, building the engine of attraction. Because what's the point of an amazing building if nobody can ever find it? This engine is how we get our ideal customers to walk right up to the front door.
And the absolute core of this engine today, it's content. I mean it. It is no longer optional. You have to become an educator, or an entertainer, or a storyteller in your space. That's how you build trust, and it's how you build a brand that people actually connect with. And you know what? This is a huge leg up for smaller businesses, because you can be so much more real and authentic than some massive, faceless corporation.
But here's the thing. Great content alone doesn't pay the bills. The engine needs that fuel, and that fuel comes from sales. To actually turn all that attention into revenue, you've got to have the right mindset. And this quote just nails it. You have to be okay with hearing no. A rejected millionaire is someone who isn't afraid to ask for the sale, because they know that for every 10 no's, there's a yes that funds the entire mission. It's way better than being the respected broke person who never asks.
So, we've got the blueprint. We've got the engine running. Now we get to the final, and honestly, the most important stage, building the internal framework. This is the stuff that lets the building stand on its own 2 feet, strong and stable, without you personally having to run around holding up every single wall and beam.
And listen, let's just be real for a second. The stuff on the right here, writing standard operating procedures, documenting everything, training teams, it can feel, well, kind of boring, right? It's not nearly as sexy as chasing new deals or coming up with a big creative vision. But this boring work, this is the freedom work. The exciting work is what keeps you trapped on the hamster wheel. The freedom work is what lets you finally step off.
And this is the payoff for all of that boring freedom work. When you build these systems, what you're really creating is consistency, so your customers get an amazing experience every single time. That consistency creates scalability, so you can actually grow without everything catching on fire. And those two things together, that's what builds the ultimate prize. Real, honest-to-goodness entrepreneurial freedom.
So, we end up right back where we started with one last question for you to really think about. If you want to build a business that serves you instead of one that imprisons you, you have to make a choice. It's a shift in your identity.
You have to stop being the chief doer of everything and start being the chief designer. Are you the architect, or are you just the busiest employee? The choice, as always, is yours.